Hi there, it's Carol with Carolbcrafts. In this video, we'll be making this spooky little treat box for Halloween. It's project number 4 in my Ghoulish Goodies Create Kit. The Ghoulish Goodies Create Kit is available through October 15th. So if you're watching this after October 15th, 2020, just check out my website, www.carolbcrafts.com, to see what current Create Kit I'm offering. Now this is a workshop, so we'll be making this little box together, and I'll be giving the dimensions as we go along so that you, if you don't have the kit, you can make a little box like this with the products that you have at home. So for your cardstock, you're going to want to get your Blackberry Bliss out and your basic black. And then from your home stash, you're going to want Very Vanilla. And these colors kind of go good together, I think. This Blackberry Bliss, Basic Black, and Very Vanilla. Very good for Halloween. So then we'll get our cutter out and we'll go ahead and get started. Had some fuzz on my, my box there. So here is our cutter, our Stampin' Up trimmer, and we're going to start with our Blackberry Bliss. We need a piece that's 8.5 by 2 3/4, so we'll go ahead and do our 2 3/4 here, and then 8.5. I'll have to swing my arm out for that one. See, there's 8.5. So 8.5 by 2 3/4 for our Blackberry Bliss. And then for our basic black, what did I do with my basic black? Here it is. For basic black, we need 2 3/4 by 2.5. So I'm going to do 2.5 this way, and then 2 3/4, and that's going to go underneath our sentiment here in the back. Then for our Very Vanilla, we're going to go ahead and cut it into quarters because that way we can preserve some of our paper. So cut it in half at 5.5. And then we're going to cut it at half again at 4 1/4. Well, actually, we don't need to cut it at 4 1/4. Let's cut it at 2 3/8. So 2 1 2 3/8, 2 3/8, and then we're going to cut it this way at 2 5/8. So 1 2 3 5/8. And then another one at 2 5/8. Okay, so one is for the back, and then one is we're going to be stamping on and die cutting our Good to the Last Bite, which I think that goes along great with the spider, because you think about spiders biting. So anyway, that's kind of where I got that. So let's put away our trimmer. And we don't need any more of our Very Vanilla right now. So let's do our stamping next. So we're going to do Good to the Last Bite on one, and that's going to be die cut with these awesome dies that we've been using, the Ornate Frames dies. I hope that you're glad that you purchased these because they are awesome dies. So we will be die cutting that, Good to the Last Bite. Let's get our stamps out. We know we're going to need Good to the Last Bite. Where are you? Here. And then we're also going to need, if we look on the back, we're going to need It's Not a Trick, It's Just a Treat. Kind of cute saying. And then there's this little spider here. We'll be stamping it to just kind of decorate that up a little bit. So we'll go ahead and get, let's see, let's go ahead and do, let's go ahead and do our front first. Good to the last bite. We're going to be using Blackberry Bliss ink. And so we have our Blackberry Bliss ink, and then we have our Good to the Last Bite. Put these stamps over here for now. We don't need them. Good to the Last Bite. Blackberry Bliss. Looks like my Blackberry Bliss is getting a little dry. I have a lot of my ink pads getting dry lately. I don't know, maybe it's the weather. I'm not sure. But that's okay. I got plenty of ink in there. I just need to dab it a little bit. Okay, there's my Good to my Last Bite. I'll clean that stamp off. So that's ready to die cut. And now we're going to do the back. And I like to use my 4x6 piece of window sheet that I cut so I can place my image exactly where I'd like it. So I'm going to get my, it's not a trick, it's a treat. I'm going to put it in the corner here. I'm going to pick it up with my Stamparatus. This is also going to be Blackberry Bliss, so we'll ink that up. That will show me where my image is going to stamp. So all I have to do then is to slip this underneath here and line it up so that it looks nice. And then when I'm happy with it, I'm going to put a magnet there so it holds it in place. Remove my plastic. Set that aside for now. I'll clean it in just a minute. And ink up my stamp again. And then this way it will stamp right where I want it to. And again, like I said, because I have a dry pad, I guess I've been using this color a lot, which is good because it's a nice color. I really like it. And maybe if I get my pad this way, I'll get a little more ink. Alrighty. You probably won't have to do yours as much as I did mine because your pad's probably not dry. So I definitely will be ordering a refill, a Blackberry Bliss refill for my pad. Now, next I want to put some spiders on there, so I'm going to clean off my 4x6 window sheet with a wipe that I use. I don't use baby wipes. I use something called hand and face wipes. So I'm going to put this back in place. Those magnets are so strong. Back in the corner, and then I'll get my little spider stamp, and I can see that I need to clean my stamp off here too. And I'm putting my little spider stamp here in the corner. And I'm going to get my Memento Tuxedo black ink and ink up my little spider. Stamp it on my plastic. And now you can see I have 3 spiders. I can pretty much decide where I want that spider to stamp. So I want him to stamp there. So I'll remove this, ink up my stamp again, and stamp that little spider right there. Ooh, a little bit too much ink, I think. It's a fat spider. Okay, and then I'll put that back in the corner so that I can slide this under here and get another spider over here. Ink up my stamp again. And there's my other spider. And then one last time, I'll put my plastic back, slide this underneath. This one's going to be a little higher. It's not going to be the same height. So again, remove my plastic. And it's going to stamp a little bit on the paper underneath, the graph paper or the grid paper. All right, there's my other little spider. So I think we're done with our stamping. Let me clean off my plastic and my stamp. So you can see that it's distressed a little bit here on the edges with the Blackberry Bliss on these two. So let me die cut this. Let's die cut that. Get my other magnet out. Let's put Stamparatus away. We'll go ahead and die cut our good to the last bite with this die here. I'm going to put a piece of removable tape on there so that it stays in place when I die cut it. Good to the last bite. It'll just fit on there. What you want to make sure is that your D and your B are like right to the edge there of the die. So I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Now this is the new die machine from the Stampin' Up. So this you use plate 1 and plate 2 and then a plate 3, and then you put your die with the cutting side down on your cardstock, and you put another plate 3 right here, and then you just run it through your machine and it cuts it out beautifully, just like that. So now we have our front sentiment, and let's see how that did. No, it did well. Okay, so put our die over there, don't lose it. So now we can go ahead and get our Blackberry Bliss out. Now in your kit, you'll see here I gave you sponges. If I only gave you 3, then use the one you've been using for black, use the other side. But I gave you 4, then you can have one individual one just for Blackberry Bliss. And while we're in here, let's just go ahead and grab our plastic box that we need and our ribbon. It's this little gray strip of gray granite ribbon there. And I think that's all. Everything else is for project 6. So we've got our little sponge, and I'm actually going to use one I've already used so I can save that to send to someone. And I'm just going to go around the edges like this. You've probably done this before, but if you haven't, you just kind of coloring the edges like you're painting the edges to give it a little more dimension and kind of make it look a little spookier too. I think it does anyway. And if you want to get a little more on the front, the more you want to get on the front, it's up to you. This depends on how distressed and how spooky you want it to look. I like that. Maybe a little bit more over here. Yeah, that looks good. And then you're good to your last bite. Gonna do the same thing. Gonna go around the edges of it. I just hold it in the center and spin it around with my finger. That way I don't have to worry about so much about getting ink on the center of it where I don't want it. Nobody wants a big fingerprint there in the middle of their sentiment. Okay, doesn't that look awesome? So now we're done with that. You know what? We did not cut the DSP. I just realized that. So you want to grab your spider DSP. Let me see what the what dimensions we need for that. So this is supposed to be 6 by 2.5, and it is actually 6 by 2.5. So that's probably what was left over. That's why I used 6 by 2.5. That's all that's left over of that paper. That's going to go on front of here. But first, let's go ahead and build our little plastic. So we're just going to open it up, squeeze it so that the sides are like that. And then I like to, before I push the sides down, I like to do the tops and bottoms. And I'm just pinching there and pinching there. And then I'm going to push these in, the sides in. And then this goes inside here. And then same thing over here. Do the flap first. Pinch that. And it kind of went in there. That might happen to you too, that's fine. And then pinch this flap, pinch the sides, push them down, and then stick that in there. And you can put anything in there that you want. I'm still deciding what I want to put in there. I'm not sure. I found these little Haribo gummy bears. They might fit in there. You could always put M&Ms in there. Anything that you want to put in there, you can put in there. But and you don't have to put it in before you decorate it, because you can always decorate it, put your food in later. So let's start. Decide the front. The back is where your flaps go in. So this is your front. You're just going to put it in the center it over there, and you're going to just wrap that around, keeping it level, and you're going to give it a little pinch, and then you're going to wrap it around the back, keeping it level, and give it a little pinch like that. Then you're going to come back around to the front, push this around, keep that nice and tight in the front and flat, and then pinch it on the sides so that you have this. And then you can come around, once you've got your guide, get your sides even and just pinch really well where you did those first impressions there. And that gives you a little more a nicer, crisper edge. Okay, so that's ready to go on our box. So find my front again, because I want to be sure that I put this on the back. There is my, so I'm going to do this. First I'm going to straighten that out, because it's not doing what it's supposed to. Get in there. Okay, I think what I will do is I'm going to put a strip of the one that, whatever is going to be underneath, and the one that's longer will be on the top. I'm going to put a piece of tear and tape, or if you have the Stampin' Seal Plus, you could use that as well. Strip of tear and tape right there. And I think I'll burnish that as well because it needs to be burnished to have a good firm grip. I'll get my take your pick tool and pull that up. And I want to make sure that this doesn't slide around on my box. So I'm going to put a couple of glue dots here on. So this is where it's going to wrap around, and eventually I'm going to connect it there. But on the back here, I'm going to put some glue dots. Just a couple of glue dots to make sure that this doesn't slide around. So there's one, and there's two glue dots. And find my box again, make sure I have the front going in the front. This is the back. I'm going to put it down so you can maybe see it. So when I get it level, I'm going to get this as tight as I can. I'm going to meet those up so that the sides meet. And I'm going to push it down. And now because I put those glue dots on there, this isn't going to slide around as much. So we're going to do the same thing with our DSP. And don't worry about the back if it's not going to go all the way around, because it's going to have this to hide the fact that it doesn't go all the way around. We're making the best use of our DSP that we can. So I've centered it, going to pinch it and pinch it, bring this around and pinch it and pinch it. There's just maybe it's not quite as even as I wanted. Let me try that again. Pinch that, and give it a little bit more over there. And that looks a lot more even in the back there. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and kind of make these a little bit. I'm not gonna do them as much as I did with I'm not gonna crease them like I did with the cardstock. I'm gonna leave it kind of not so creased. And this I'm going to put on with glue dots, not glue dots, glue, multi-purpose glue. I'm going to, on each end, I'm going to put in the corners some glue, and then along the edge some glue on both ends, corner and edge, and then along the edge here, not too close because you don't want it to ooze out. Turn it around and some more dots of glue, and maybe a little bit in the center, a little squiggly in the center. And then this is going to go on the front. So let's go ahead and put it in the center of our Blackberry Bliss. Wrap it around. Make sure that it's centered and level. And we're just going to, maybe if we put it face down and hold it while it dries. Make sure that you make it as tight as you can. Push on your sides to get that glue to stick on your sides as well. Okay, that's going to dry really nicely. And we'll have our spiders. So before we put this on, we need to get some another piece of ribbon. So I forgot to get it earlier, but it's this piece of, it looks like spider web almost, but it's a metallic ribbon. It's a silver metallic ribbon here. It's going to go over our box, like the front in the center, like that. I'm trying to remember how I put that on. You know, I think I'm going to put that on with some tear and tape. I'm going to put a piece of tear and tape there and there to hold that down, just in the center part. not from edge to edge, just in the center part where it can grab hold of that ribbon. And that's kind of hard there. I'm going to have to cut that with my scissors. Just can't push too hard on that box because it squishes. It squishes down. So I think I'll do one side at a time. That way I'm not overwhelmed here. So lay that down flat and make sure that's going to go around. And it's in the center. So that I'm pushing that down in there. It looks good in the front, it's centered. So I'm going to bring it around, remove this one. And then push it into that. And that will hold that ribbon for sure. Next, we're going to go ahead and put this on our basic black with some, I'm going to use glue in a dot in each corner, a small dot in each corner, and then dots around. It's going to go on the front. And I'm always saying this, but it's true. When you use the glue, you get a little bit of chance to get things right if you don't get it right there at the beginning. Now you have a little die cut bag here. You're going to need this spider, sparkly spider. There's another spider in there that's not sparkly. That's not the one you want. And then you have some tags in there. You have 3 tags. There's a large one, a medium one, and a small one. For this project, we need the medium one, okay? So these 2 go back in the bag here. And then our good to the last bite is going to go down here in the bottom. You can see it kind of fits in there. The design of this kind of fits with the design of the tag. You want to leave this part open to put our ribbon. So get some, I'm going to get some sticky for my fingers. I'm going to get some glue on this. Again, the corners and then around the edge. And I want as much of that you may just kind of put it where you think it will look good. Don't worry about the stitching showing. The stitching doesn't have to show. Just make sure that it's even. And let's see, that's going to go on our box too, but let's go ahead and finish the back. Make sure, I think this is going to go like right here. I will put that on with some glue. A little dot in each corner, and then around the edge, and then some in the center. And then that tear and tape is also going to help keep this in. So before you push it down, make sure you get your edges are meeting. Equal side from side to side is equal, and then the edges meet. And then when you have it where you want it, you just put it down and let it dry. Might need to push it down a little to make sure that it dries where you want it. So that's our back. Now we're going to do our front. And I just love that silver metallic ribbon. We have our good to the last bite. It's going to go there. And our awesome little spider. I'm going to kind of take and bend it in the center, bow it, and then bow its little legs down. Bow it in the center, and then that gives it a little bit of. Let's get one of our large dimensionals. You have some in your kit. You need one large Stampin' dimensional. It's going to go right here in the fattest part of the spider's body, so that it doesn't show. But since it's black, which is awesome, we haven't always had the black, it shouldn't show too much. Even if it does show, it won't be distracting. Okay, I'm ready to put my dimensional, my spider here, kind of here in the corner, and that dimensional is going to make it kind of stand up a little bit. And then we're going to put some dimensionals here. It looks like there's little dimensionals I used for that one. Looks like I used 6 mini dimensionals. So hope I have that many left, but one in each corner. 2, whoops, come on, get over there. 2, 3, 4. Now I must have used some that I wasn't supposed to, so guess what I can do? This I can put in the center because nobody's going to see it, right? And then some of these little side things, I can put them on the side here, just like that. And it's going to give it support. So if you ran out of dimensionals, I counted them, but if you ran out, you can use some of the excess around the edges, just like I did. I'm going to remove all of these backings. Crafters have to be creative in many ways, not just in creating projects, but sometimes we have to be creative in figuring out how to cover up our boo-boos. That happens to me a lot anyway. Okay, come on, get off of there. And then last one here. Okay, so that's going to go a little, this part is almost up to the top of your DSP, but not quite. There's like a 1/16 of an inch, and it's about 1/4 of an inch from the edge. So right there, I think, is a good place for it. I just don't know what's wrong with this top. It is just not doing its job. Come on and do your job, top. I don't know if I didn't pinch it enough to get it so that it wants to stay down. I think that fixed it. No, it's still poking up. There, hopefully that's got it. You can always put a glue dot in there too. Once you get your candy in, you can put a little glue dot in the center here, and that will hold that down flat. So you don't have to worry about it popping open and having candy go everywhere. Okay, I'm gonna clean off my sticky things. All right, how are we doing? You can see there are some cute little pearly things. These are iridescent pearls. You got some big ones and little ones. They're really kind of hard to tell. The larger ones are on one end and the smaller ones are here. You have less larger ones than you do bigger ones. So I'm going to take one of the larger ones and put it here, and then one of the smaller ones, and you're going to put it in front of the large one. And that gives your spider a little bit of bling bling. And then our gray ribbon, that's a little ribbon. That's a little bow. So what will we do? I can see this spider's lower than that spider. I wonder if I can move him. Should I even attempt to move him? I don't know if I will damage him or damage my paper. Oop, there we go. And then I did damage my paper. Well, that means he's got to go back where he was. Oh well, it looks a little better. He's a little higher. Okay, so the bow. You're going to take it, find your curve. There's your curve. And you're going to go bow, you're going to go bow, going to go loop loop, just like this. And then you're going to take this side, keep them even, like that. Take this one and go across that one, so that you kind of do an X across. And then this is going to be pushed through here, this little part right here. So I'm going to take, in the smaller bows it's a little bit harder to do, but it's not impossible. I'm just going to take my index finger and push that through that hole, grab it here and pull. And there's my little bow. And I'm going to make it even smaller because this is a tiny bow. Have we got it small enough? Maybe a little bit smaller. Because when I pull it tight, it gets bigger. So I'm just going to push that back through there. And then when I've got it where I want to pull it tight, now I have my little bow. Now whichever side looks the best, if you think that side looks better or if you think that side looks better. I think this side looks better. I think it will lay a little flatter. So that's the side. I'm going to put my glue dot on the back here, but first I'm going to trim it almost even with the edge of the bow here. And then same thing over there, even with the edge of the bow. And that's a little bit bigger than this one, but I don't think it's going to matter. It's just going to show better. It's going to be more pronounced, which is fine. It'll be just as pretty. So a couple of glue dots. What would we do without our glue dots? They are so amazing. Right above, hides that hole there that was for the tag, and it goes right above your sentiment. Good to the last bite. Who wouldn't love to get that little treat box? It's great for coworkers, for friends, neighbors, anybody that you want to just give a little treat to for this holiday, this Halloween holiday. So this is project number 4 in my Ghoulish Goodies Create Kit. It's good through October 15th. If you really want one, I might have a couple left over. Just email me at carolbcrafts@hotmail.com. Otherwise, check out my website, www.carolbcrafts.com, to see what current Create Kit I'm offering. Thanks for watching. Bye now.